Hello, this is your Monday Info Hub. Our top stories. We begin with the anti-corruption fight. SARA is teaming up with FIU to move to court with its first batch of cases. Madhya is quickly developing into a modern mining town. Hinterland leaders are briefed on the benefits and opportunities. And Lindo Creek COI continues. Do stay with us for these stories and much more. The State Assets Recovery Agency Deputy Director Aubrey Heath Rettemeyer today confirmed that the agency will soon be taking the first batch of cases to the courts. Stacey Carmichael reports.
Deputy Director State Assets Recovery Agency Aubrey Heath Rettemeyer, on the sidelines of an anti-corruption seminar, said information was gathered locally and abroad with assistance from external state assets recovery agencies.
We believe that within another month or so, which would be about the 90 days that Professor Thomas talked about, we will advance the first batch of cases that we have. And we do have several other batches after them. And this is because we have evidence. You have to be able to convert the information you have to evidence and then advance it to court.
Rettemeyer said it must be taken into consideration that persons charged with misappropriation and stealing of state assets usually advance defense arguments based on procedure. Hence, the need for SARA to gather evidence in a prescribed manner to ensure solid cases. Rettemeyer said a major challenge is the lack of digitized records.
Though we're getting help, we have to pay for it. And we don't have unlimited resources. So you have to judge between if this thing will bring you back, let's say, $100 million, and you have to spend $1 to $10 million, are you prepared to spend it? So those are some of the challenges we have, at least two. Well, we do have to prioritize.
The Deputy Director confirmed that they also unearthed the presence of stolen state assets abroad. In terms of statistics, SARA is working with other agencies to determine how they have done in terms of reducing financial crimes. It is also working along with the United Nations country representative to craft an anti-corruption policy based on the UN's list of recommendations. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
And more SARA news. Today, the first in a series of anti-corruption training seminars kicked off. The need for enforcement of the law was high on the agenda. Stacey, join us again.
Addressing the first in a series of anti-corruption seminars today was Deputy Commissioner General, Customs, Excise and Trade Administration, Guyana Revenue Authority, Lancelot Wills. He called on officials to adopt an anti-corruption posture in keeping with Guyana's obligations under several international conventions. Wills said the 2005 adopted United Nations Convention Against Corruption requires a hemispheric body along with another country and specialists from the UN to evaluate member states.
It is in Guyana preparing also for such a review that we want to situate this discussion. We want to situate this edifying process as though we are not only sensitizing ourselves, but we're becoming even more aware as to what is required of us.
According to Wills, Guyana does not lack the anti-corruption laws, rather it needs to strengthen enforcement. Deputy Director State's Assets Recovery Agency, Aubrey Heath Rettemeyer, said the international community has adopted a stern posture towards corruption, therefore it is imperative that Guyana does too.
It's much easier to close the door on corruption than going after stolen wealth. We are in the process of doing that. It's costing us a lot of money and a lot of time. And if we can prevent it in the first place, it's far, far better.
The State Assets Recovery Agency is an autonomous body created through the State Assets Recovery Act of 2017 and passed in Parliament on April 13, 2017. The Act mandated SARA to recover through civil proceedings state property unlawfully acquired by a public official or any other person. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
SARA and the Financial Intelligence Unit signed an MOU today. Paul McAdam provides the details.
Director of the State's Asset Recovery Agency, Professor Clive Thomas, said the MOU is in keeping with the fact that the two agencies need to cooperate.
We are mandated, I think, both by international law, convention, as well as domestic law, to cooperate. because both of us share the same set of goals, and these relate to the reduction of corruption, both as a national good and as an international obligation.
In addition, the SARA head explained that the corruption fight is one which aims to increase resource availability to improve the welfare of citizens.
The increasing tendency globally is for it to be recognized that the fight against corruption is a fight to promote welfare and the well-being of the broad masses of the population of the entire group. It is not myself who's making this assessment, but the World Bank itself on its website has argued that public corruption is the single biggest deterrent to development.
Director of the Financial Intelligence Unit, Matthew Langevin, described the move as in keeping with international best practices such as the sharing of intelligence. The FIU is a dedicated body that was created under the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act, which was made into law by the coalition government. Its main role is to facilitate the detection and deterrent of money laundering and terrorist financing and other financial and serious crimes. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
Madhya becoming a township will not impinge on the autonomy of village councils. Minister Ronald Bulkan gave this assurance. Stefan Gabriel has the details.
You're becoming part of a larger area. A township of Madhya will in no way, shape or form lead to or result in any interference with that authority that you currently possess under the Act that governs your status, your village status, the Armenian Act.
Minister Bulkan met with the leaders and residents of Mykobi, Campbelltown, Princeville and other indigenous communities surrounding Madhya in Region 8 to discuss the establishment of the Madhya Township. The minister told indigenous leaders that becoming part of the township will increase the opportunity for villagers to play a greater role in the development of their communities.
If you become part of a different organ, in this case, the township, then what you have earned or gained is the ability to have an organ separate and apart from your village council that can make such representation on your behalf.
Minister Bulkan's team included Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Sidney Alicock, and GCOM officials. GCOM Commissioner Charles Corbin explained the town's boundaries inclusive of indigenous villages and the voting process for the new municipality to indigenous leaders and residents. Tushaw of Mykobi, John Andre, described the brief as very informative. Madhya is expected to become a town later this year. For InfoHub, Stefan Gabriel.
Guyana's emergency response plans for foot and mouth disease has received high marks from local and international observers. Paul joins us again. He tells us that this follows a simulation exercise conducted in Mabaruma in the Northwest District on Saturday.
It follows a simulation exercise in Mabaruma Northwest District, Region 1, held over the weekend. Foot and mouth disease specialist and Pan American Health Organization consultant Dr. Victor Saraiva.
I was impressed not only with the EPI group readiness and observation of the procedures, but also with the coordination between those involved. When we got the roadblocks, when we went to the farm, everybody is well aware of their role in this study.
Acting Director General of the Civil Defense Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Gregg, said the Guyana Livestock Development Authority proved its capacity to manage should such an emergency arise.
From the technical perspective, what I've observed, because I was able to observe the Incident Command Center, or Incident Command Post, the checkpoints, the quarantine, and the actual focus area. So that was a good experience for me as representing the Civil Defense Commission, because what we like to understand is what is happening at all sectors. I think for the authority, it's important that you know your role and responsibility and take lead in what you have to do. And that's what was demonstrated.
For Superintendent Elton Beard of the Guyana Police Force, it was a timely exercise. He said it provided an opportunity for himself and the ranks to be aware of the procedures involved in the management of a declared disaster or emergency area.
When I looked at the structure, I recognized that this is not only about the FMD, but it's in dealing with any kind of disaster and how we can mobilize our resources and all these things. And so the experience indeed was good for us.
The exercise involved 57 persons, inclusive of representatives from PAHO, WHO, IICA, the Ministry of Public Health, and other agencies. It was designed to evaluate the emergency preparedness plan, test the GLDA's ability to respond to an emergency and rapidly contain the possible spread of suspected diseases from a local farm. It also sought to establish the disease's origin and the extent of any possible spread, using methods according to the preparedness plan. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
The PPP motion in the National Assembly was described by Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan as a crude, naked and opportunistic attempt to convey the impression that the government is not taking the recent Suriname piracy attacks seriously. Here's more.
Minister Ramjatan told the House that contrary to what the motion suggests, his office was in constant communication with the Surinamese authorities.
It is important then to understand that all of the things that got to be put in place in accordance with the resources that we have, because if we get more resources, we certainly can put up a lot more vessels out there to ensure better security. And so never. And so it is almost so important. So it is very important that that context be understood. And when we now come here dancing around the issue, saying that we didn't do anything, we were enjoying our air-conditioned offices, and so on. That is not true. And that is why opportunistically I say this is what, a crude, naked piece of politicking in this motion.
Reference was made to the numerous surveillance initiatives introduced by the coalition and the hosting of several meetings with fishermen to ascertain their needs and provide guidance on their operation at sea.
We held the talks with the fishermen when we had a couple of incidents there in 2016. And I went and indicated to them that we need them to purchase transponders. We went and do the search, and the expert team that I have in my research department came up with the cheapest transponders that they could buy in the vicinity of about $100,000 to show their positioning and where they can also have help through this device to tell the authorities inside of Guyana where they are, who are the strangers around, all of that. And even if it's more than that, we indicated to them that they could have radio sets placed because we have to modernize our fishing fleet.
Updating the National Assembly on his visit to Suriname, Minister Ramjatan said the Guyana Police Force and the Surinamese authorities have agreed and are maintaining daily contact on the issue. The authorities in Suriname are scanning the waterways for the bodies of the missing fishermen and have deployed teams from their Army and Coast Guard in these efforts, the minister informed. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
And in our wrap-up report today, we update you on the Lindo Creek Commission of Inquiry. This report provided courtesy of Newsroom.
He was mannerly. He was respectable. We never had a problem with him. We never rude to us. He was always kind to us. He was always loving to us. And I really missed him. I say this with tears in my eyes. I really miss my son. I miss my son, and whosoever did that, they are going to pay for it. They are going to pay for it.
17-year-old Nigel Torres was one of 8 miners whose burnt bodies were discovered at a mining camp in Lindo Creek in June 2008. Family members were never satisfied with the police's investigation into their deaths, and President David Granger consequently established a commission of inquiry to find out the truth of what happened to the 8 men. The 4-year-long investigation by the police force pinned the murder of the miners on the Rundle Rollins Fineman gang, but Yana Torres knew something different. She told the COI team that visited her on Thursday at the Kokwani waterfront that she had vital information about what might have happened to her son and the other miners, but she is terrified to inform the authorities.
You know, and I have some things to say. And I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it really, because you know when you say what would be at the back of you. People said lots of things to me. I don't want to say it because of my children. I really love them and I want to live for them.
Torres has never received closure and she is craving for justice. She does not believe the police's investigation revealed the truth about her son's death. Today, she keeps 2 photographs of her son in her Bible, and she holds on to a pair of old rugged pants, the only item she has in her possession that belonged to her beloved Nigel.
This is the only pants I had. This is my son's pants. Every time my children throw it away, I would go in the garbage and pick it up and look at it. This is the pants he leave. He took all of his clothes and he leave this only old pants. I have it in my son, in my church clothes basket. No one feels a pain that a mother's feel.
Davina Samaru reporting for the newsroom.
Connect with us 24/7 on our website and social media as we keep you posted on Guyana's developmental revolution. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Daddy!